All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. This is the B Theory, and my name is Nomefanga, and it's another beautiful Friday. Good to have you all today on the B Theory, and I have my guest already in the building. We're going to allow a few people to come in, but I'm going to bring her in right away because we have so much to discuss today, and I do not want to waste any time at all. But before I go there, how has it been? How has the week been? It's June, and we are actually wrapping up the month of June. We're going into the next half of the year. How prepared are you to go into the next? Are you deliberate? Are you intentional? Are you conscious? And are you ready? You need to be ready for the next half of the year. And this is that opportunity you're going to have, because we're going to have an amazing, extraordinary conversation with Ifeoma Monye, who is our guest today on the B Theory. Ifeoma, how are you? How has your week been? It has been a roller coaster ride, hasn't it?
Yes, thank you. It's been a busy week. That's
I,
how I'll put it
uh,
like that. It's been really busy. Yeah.
I can just imagine. I can just imagine. And I did add to that mix, didn't I?
Yes, it did. You did in a good way.
It was like boom, boom, boom. But let me not report myself to the audience so that they will stop listening to me and think that, oh, this woman is a troublemaker. All right, so let me quickly read Ifeoma's bio. For those who are coming in, thank you, Daniel Wong. Thank you, Finest Dietitian. You're all welcome. Keep coming in, and you can even send the link to your friends so that they can join us in this conversation. Of course, for those that are just joining us for the first time, you know that the B Theory, the acronym for being extraordinary, the Be Extraordinary Theory, is that platform where we talk with key industry players, mind shifters, people who have experience. And you're going to readily see that today, Ifeoma has 20 years of experience in operations management and strategy, project execution, and all. And these conversations are targeted to raising a new generation of thinkers, people who want to become who these people are in the near future, changing their outcomes and securing same for others. People that are going to be seen as role models, and people who are going to shift the different spheres of influence, whether it be in technology, whether it be in finance, in business, in politics, in government, in media, education, healthcare sector. So these are the conversations that we have on being extraordinary. It's all about these creative and extraordinary people sharing their life's journey and principles that have helped them to become the extraordinary people that they are today. So having said that, let me quickly read Ifeoma's bio. It's long. I'm going to just cut it short. For those of us that don't know, go to my Instagram handle, Ask Omalicha, and you will see all of her profile there, and follow her and what her work and what she's doing. Amazing job out there. By the way, she is the 65th president of the prestigious International Women's Society here in Nigeria. She's a seasoned strategist, a project execution and operations management specialist with 20 years of experience. She is a fellow in the Institute of Management Consultants, Nigeria. She's a member Institute of Directors. She's a fellow in Nigerian Leadership Initiative and a life member of Women in Management and Business and Public Service. That is WIMBIZ for some of us who do not know that whole line. The acronym is WIMBIZ. So she is a life member at WIMBIZ and also a member of the Harvard Business School Association of Nigeria. She's an expert at guiding individuals and organizations in articulating their visions, building efficient processes and systems to drive optimal performance by providing them with the necessary tools to build sustainable institutions and legacies. So if you want to build a sustainable institute and legacy for your business, then Ifeoma Monye is the plug, like they say these days, the plug to go to. She is, I mean, there's so much to read about her. She successfully has planned and managed numerous projects in the UK and US and Nigeria in different areas, whether it be retail, education, real estate, finance services, healthcare, hospitality, nonprofit, and agriculture. She completed the general management program and key executive program both at Harvard Business School, and has a degree in economics and politics from the University of Essex in the UK. And she attended the High Impact Leadership course at Yale University, organized by Nigerian Leadership Initiative. So there's so much that she's done. She currently has what do they call it? An elderly care home that she partners with her husband to handle, and they take care of people who are 60 years and above. She's doing a lot of things. So this is no ordinary person that we've brought to you today. Please join me as I welcome the delectable Ifeoma Monye. Welcome, Ifeoma. It's so good to have you on the platform today.
Thank you.
So I'm going to go right into the, thank you so much for being there. I mean, we have been on Ifeoma's case all week, and she knows what I'm talking about, but she has graciously been available. It's so awesome to have you in the house. So very quickly, I want to ask my first question. We're talking about the B theory here. And this is not something that, or when people hear, they probably think that it's something that is, that it's attached to a certain group of people, maybe sophisticated people or people of high class. So we want to demystify that concept here. And that's why I'm asking you your own perspective to the concept of being extraordinary. If you were to be asked, what does it mean to be extraordinary in simple terms, what would that be?
Thank you. I think being extraordinary is just doing what you do, what your own core competence is, and doing it well. Extraordinary means that you're putting in your best. It's not about competing with anyone. It's not about being better than the next person, but it's what are you bringing to the table? Everyone has their own unique set of gifts. So it's being yourself and being the best at who you are is what I call being extraordinary. So what are your skill sets, and how are you ensuring that you're honing in on your skills and ensuring that every day you're getting better, you're sharpening your tools and being whatever it is, having some sort of impact in the world. That's what I'll say.
Awesome. I love what you said when you said being the best of who you are. That is really inspiring, because a lot of people think that being the best of who you are belongs to a certain set, a certain group of people, and it doesn't apply to us because we are seemingly ordinary people. But every ordinary person can actually be the best version of themselves if they put in the effort, if they put in the hard work. So being the best of who you are per time is what is required, not because some people are from a certain class, but because everybody, it has the potential to, in your words, everybody has that equal opportunity to bring their best to the table. So with this understanding, why is it that a lot of people do not embrace being extraordinary and the things that they do? Is it unique to the African context, or is this a global problem or challenge where a lot of people just feel that it's not imperative for them to be extraordinary and to bring their very best to the table? Why is it that the times that we're in, people are not motivated to bring their best to the table? And yeah.
Okay. I think, first of all, there's a misconception about what being extraordinary is. And so most times people feel they don't have what it takes, or they have to be almost superhuman to be extraordinary. But I think it's, if people realize it's just you and being the best version of yourself, then it will be easier for people to understand. Now, the other thing is showing up every day, doing the work that you need to do and put in to be able to be that extraordinary person. I'll give an example. Like you were saying, it's not about class, it's not about your background, all that. So let's say, for example, I sell tomatoes, or I'm in the tomato industry. What does extraordinary mean, even in there? Is understanding that industry, understanding everything they need to, everyone needs to know about tomatoes, so that if anyone ever thinks of tomato, I'm top of mind. If he has to do it, how do I grow tomatoes? Where do I grow tomatoes? How do I sell tomatoes? How many varieties of tomatoes are there? Then I can be known for that. So no matter what it is, it's just being the best and known for whatever it is that you're good at. I think that's it. So the misconception is that, oh, you need to be, so you need to have the money or the exposure to be extraordinary. No, it just means being diligent, being disciplined, putting that effort to understanding whatever it is, your own space, and owning it. That's really what it takes. So it's that whole diligence and showing that every day in, day out, you're doing the work that is necessary to be able to command that space. That's really what it takes to be extraordinary. And if you look at it, for anyone that has been extraordinary, whether it's an athlete or some sort of scholar, they have done their work. They have put in the time, the effort, the dedication, and so are known for that. And that's really what it takes.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Because I tend to find that there's so many copycats, Ifeoma, as in there's so many people who just don't want to put in the work. I'd rather copy and paste what somebody else has already done. Not that there's anything wrong in actually borrowing an idea, but making it your own is not something that people really are inspired to do in today's world. We have more impatient people who want to instantly thrive or become successful. We have young people who are into all sorts of all sorts of menace, trying to make money. We have also a lot of people who do not have the right kind of people around them, so they just find themselves doing what every other person is doing. So it is, in my estimation, an epidemic in our today's world, because we have so many young people who are not willing to put in the hard work. There's so many people who are more willing to be copycats than to be, extraordinary in what they do. And you also have those who are just not ready to do what needs to be done, the principles. So with that, I want to ask that, did you have this kind of struggles growing up, and what helped you to maintain this extraordinary lifestyle, putting in your very best in who you are per day, and even looking for those opportunities that continue to improve? I mean, look at your profile. Your profile is just amazing. You've achieved so much. Somebody is going to say out there, she probably was entitled. Or somebody will say, oh, she had the wherewithal, or her parents were rich, or that, she had a thriving environment. So I want you to probably clarify that. What helped you and inspired you to accomplish all of the feats that you've been able to accomplish so far?
Okay, thank you. I think for me, I've had that drive. I kind of knew, so I didn't have a clear picture of who I am today, but I knew what I wanted to be. So like I knew from day one, I wasn't trying to open my own business. I wasn't trying to set up some shop, or I knew I wanted to be a professional career woman. So I kind of had that. And then when I started working, I kind of was like able to tick certain boxes and said, okay, this works for me, this doesn't work for me. And I've always wanted to, I've always been inquisitive. If I don't know something, I want to find out more about it. I've been competitive, but competitive with myself. So every day it's like, how can I get better? So for me, it's always about that quest for knowledge. How do I know if I don't know something? How do I know it? How do I learn what is happening? And for me, I've always wanted to also be kind of ahead of the trend. While growing up, I think also in university, I read a lot of companies. I read about the men who built America, and
Oh,
one of the
wow.
things strategy is first mover advantage is not always an advantage. So it's also knowing when things are going to change. So for example, you have Kodak. Why isn't Kodak in business anymore? Is because technology and all that has changed. So for me, it's always, I've never been one to just say, oh, I've got in here and this is where I'm going to stop. What's the next thing? How is it I'm going to still be relevant tomorrow and not even today? What are the skill sets I require to be able to live in tomorrow's world? So that's kind of been my own driving force to say, okay, yes, I might be relevant today and I might have the skill sets, but how do I ensure that I'm continuing upping my game when the market changes is really what has been my own quest. So it's not to say, oh, education alone. It's just going out there and seeing what's out there and ensuring that I'm putting in the work. And it doesn't cost money necessarily. It's just time. It's just being diligent to say, okay, this is what I want and this is what I'm going to put into them to do the work. Yeah. So that's really has been my own driving force.
Because you were willing to put in the work, right? And you were open to the opportunities that are there. So how do you inspire a generation of people who seemingly feel entitled and who feel that everything should come to them, even if conditions, I mean, not everybody's going to be privileged, right? But even those who and have not been privileged has sort of navigated those waters and come up on top. So how do you inspire a generation of young people, entrepreneurs, or people who want to be business owners, people who want to be influential in their own times? What are principles that you can share with them that can help them to for the long haul, right? Because you can have talent and you can succeed for a short time, but if you don't have things like character, you're not going to sustain that success. So what are principles that you want to share with people to help them to, or young people to navigate these waters?
Okay, thanks. I always say that two things, education and values. I'll start with values. I say to everyone, even if you don't realize that, or you have never thought about it, or have it written down, you have a set of values that are guiding you. There might be good values or bad values, but everyone has some sort of guiding principles they work with. So I said the first thing is to know, what are your values? What is it you're willing to do and not willing to do? And again, you have to be true to yourself. Do
Right.
you have the right set of values? Because it's easy to say, oh, I won't do this, I won't do that. When you're put in a situation, are you willing to compromise your values for that? If you're willing to compromise your values, then those are really your values. Now, again, I always say it's important that you realize that even if you're going to get money now or get successful quickly, does not necessarily mean that it's going to last. So you need to look about longevity. What is going to keep you? What is going to sustain you? What are the values that will make sure that in 10 years, in 20 years, in 30 years, you're still relevant? Now, those sets of values are different from quick get-me-rich schemes. So it's important that, and I say to people, even in my office, is that you can do all these things and get it now. Like you said, you can go copy someone's original work and do it, but then it can't last forever. After a while, maybe yes, you will make money, maybe you become famous for it, but not forever, because people are going to see through you eventually. So it's important you go do the work, and then so it's important you have the right set of values, because you can't compromise on certain things. Like you said, the industry in Nigeria, yes, we're over 200 million, but still we still have a small circle. So word will get round. So if you want to be known for the right things and to be able to have that longevity, you need to have the right values. Now, the second thing is education and skill set. No one can ever take anything, your education, away from you. So I say to people, when they come into our company and I get them to do certain things, you see them frowning. I say, look, even if you leave tomorrow, I can't take what went away from you.
Learn.
And so that whole knowledge and acquiring the knowledge and doing the work, no one can ever take that experience from you, be it good or bad. So I always say to people, even if you get you have some experience and it wasn't a good one, you've learned something from that. That you still learn a lesson. So that's valuable. It's valuable in itself. So it's important that we realize that and know that we have to put the work. Once we learn certain things, once we know it, once we have the skill set, no one can take it from us. So it's important to know you have to do that work. And you can't come and speak about certain things or know certain things if you haven't done the work. It's going to show through even if you're trying to skim your way through and all that. So it's important you take that time, you do the work, and it will be with you forever. No one can take it from you. So that's why I always say, have a proper value system that stands the test of time, and then do the work.
This is interesting because I mean it's something you love to do. You're a strategist. You're already strategizing for young people. Yeah. Have you always been this? But did you always know what you wanted to do in life and you just toed that line, or was it still an ongoing discovery?
I think now it's clearer, but it definitely wasn't when I was growing up. So both my parents are lawyers. My grandfather was a Supreme Court justice, so I always thought I was going to study law. Yes, so I always said I was going to study law, and for me it was like second nature. I never thought about it. But then when I got to uni, I was going to go to the US, and you can't do law as a first degree, so I had to change. And I enjoyed economics and politics. I'm like, okay, I've always liked analyzing. I've been really analytical. I want to understand why the people vote for certain people. I like to understand policies, how a government policy can affect businesses and livelihood of people. So I'm like, okay, I'll do economics and politics. And so I did it, and I did 1 or 2 law classes, and I was like, actually, law isn't for me. And so that's how I ended up doing economics and politics. And after, when I graduated, my dream job then was to work for the United Nations, to be able to come up with policies that affect countries. And then I remember watching West Wing. There was the show, that was the rainy show then with Martin Sheen. And I just loved the show. I remember there was an episode where he said something about green beans, and he affected the prices of green beans and the farmers not wanting to vote for him. So I was really intrigued by how a comment can affect policy and politics. So I said, you know what, I'm going to move back to Nigeria, and I'm going to go work for some politician and help them craft their policies, help business. I moved back to Nigeria, and I'm like, okay, we're not into we don't do it like, you know how in the UK, US, it's not based on principle on, oh, you're left or right, it's basically whatever. So I came back and I'm like, okay, this is different. And one thing led to another, and I realized that all I do and I've always done is strategy. And so I went into management consulting and said, okay, how can I use what I have? Again, even when I started doing that, I didn't realize that this was my strength. So it was just something I kind of stumbled up. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And along the way, I found myself. But there's something that I've always said is that, again, I don't think anyone would ever come and say, I'm a strategist and that's what I've always wanted to be. So even when trying to find my purpose and my own place in life, I never really looked at that. But then I did a course called The Complete Womanhood, and that was one of the things talking about ikigai. Is like, okay, what are you good at? What do you love? What is it the world needs, and what can you get paid for? And then I realized, okay, I'm analytical. I like to solve problems. I like to come up like roadmaps. It's something the world needs. It's something I'm good at. Okay, maybe this is really kind of where I sit. And that made me look at it a bit differently. But before then, I was like, okay, I felt it had to be something sexy and it had to be something different. But I'm like, okay, if this is really my calling, let me thrive in there because I'm already doing it anyway. And I think I also limited myself in my thinking to say strategies, there's just one lane. You can use it in life, in everything. So no matter what it is, marriage, home, it's still the same. So like, let me own it and just use for the different parts.
Wow. Okay, so I want to ask, this is curiosity now coming to the fore. Wealth manager. What's that all about? Because there's just so much, just based on your profile, there are a lot of questions to ask. Unfortunately, we may not have all the time, but I'm quite interested in that concept of wealth management. How did that come into the whole package?
Okay, so that now was by chance. It wasn't something that was planned. So I went into a job doing management consulting. And my boss then, it was just both of us. And we were internal consultants for a conglomerate. And one of the companies they had was a wealth management company. And after working with her for a while, she said, you know what? I think you'll be good in this role. And so I was transferred to the wealth management desk. And I actually found that I liked it. And then the next thing she says to me, why don't you go get certified? So I did the courses. I did everything, took a few months. And then that's how I got into wealth management. But it was the best thing ever. And I'm so grateful to my boss for seeing that, because it sets you up for life. There's a difference. What?
That's like mentorship, somewhat.
Exactly. Yes. And there's a difference between just cash management and saying rich and wealth. Now, what's the difference? It's you have wealth. It's not just about cash. It's something you're supposed to be able to pass on from generation to generation. So with wealth management, you're learning not just about your money. Is how do you even grow your money? How is your money working for you while you're asleep? How is it that you're working not to survive, but you're just, how do you live on your residual income and everything else that's working? So that's really what wealth management is about, is how do you plan your life? So when you're retired, a lot of young people, even I will be honest, even when I did my wealth management, I didn't think about retirement. And it did. So yes, I heard all about retirement plan and I did all that, but it didn't hit me until when I just turned 40. I'm like, wait, one day I'm going to have to be dependent on my kids. Am I sure I really want to be dependent on them? Or how am I going to make sure I've set up my life so that I'm going to be independent and I can live the life I want? So doing all that, what do I want to be able to pass on to my kids? It's more than just cash. Education is also part of that whole wealth. What is real estate, all that. So the whole wealth management is, how do you ensure that you're growing your wealth, not just for your own lifetime, but that for your children and your children's children. So really that's what it's about. And then understanding the different stages of life, where as a couple, so you can have 5 different couples and they're different stages, the risk appetite is different. Again, especially in Nigeria, the culture, what is the tradition? A woman allowed to, are you there? Okay, yes, a woman allowed to inherit.
Yes.
So different things, even your tribe where you come from makes a difference in how you do your wealth management. So all these things you have to look at and risk and say, okay, how many more years do you see this person living? How aggressive are you going to be in building that wealth? So that's part of it.
Awesome. So, Ife, now there are obvious distractions in today's world. We're just coming out of a global pandemic. We have crisis all over different parts of the world. You're not just talking about Africa. Economic crisis is going on. Political crisis is going on. People have different challenges, both collective and individual. So how do young people deal with or handle the distractions of the times, the pressure? There is so much more pressure to succeed in these times probably than before. It wasn't as bad as it is now. We have people doing any and everything to be able to succeed seemingly in life. So how do young people who want to genuinely create wealth and succeed as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as people of influence in different areas of governance or of influence, basically, how can they handle distractions and pressure in these times?
Okay, a couple of things. So I'll go back to values again. Your values are important. That will help you decide what you're going to do to make the money. Another thing is you mentioned we've come out from a global pandemic. One of the most important things now is mental health. Um,
Mm.
we're rushing. Where are we rushing to? Why are we rushing? I think one of the other things I will say is we need to take time out to just stop and calm down. There's no need to rush. We're not in competition with anyone. We're not, I mean, there's no need. I think first thing is I always say is if everyone to take a deep breath and just be still and just stop running. Because again, you know that whole thing of motion, you can be running, but you're running in the wrong direction and you're running.
Right.
It's not about harder, it's about working smarter, you know. So it's just taking that time out to say, okay, why am I doing this? Is this truly what I want, or is this what my parents want? Is this what society expects from me? What do I want? How do I feel? You know, all those things, you know, that whole thing of intuition. There are many things that our bodies are saying to us, but we're not even listening. We're rushing for things. It's just to first of all calm down. Are we even going in the right direction? Are we doing it for the right reasons? Those things are important. And then the next thing I'll say is, who says we have to do certain things? Why do we have to, for example, once you graduate, go do your master's, get married? You know, a lot of people are rushing into many things and rushing out because they have not really understood themselves. How are you going to understand someone else? So I'm like, why the rush? Let's just take time out. Let's stop putting pressure on ourselves. Let society stop putting pressure on us to live by their own rules. We need to know what works for us and go by that. Another thing I see is that a lot of young people now don't want to do the 9 to 5, say, oh, I want to be my own boss. There's certain things you learn. There's certain, to be a
Well,
professional, able to exceed work ethics that you get from all this, from working. So I always say to people, you can't say you don't like something when you've never even tried it. So
mm.
it's important that you go through the ropes for a reason. It's the experience that you get. I always say you can't say you want to open a business when you've not even learned customer service, when you don't even know anything, you're fresh out of school. So I'm not saying don't start that business, but go there, get experience, understand why things are done the way they are. You know, get that, get your hands dirty, and then that way you'll be able to learn more and not make too many costly mistakes. So I think for me it's being able to go through certain rigors, because that's what builds character. So, you know, you
Mm.
need to understand why certain things go the way. Okay, why did my boss do this? I even remember working, I think 15 years ago, and I remember saying, oh, when I'm the boss, I'll do it this way. Why? And now I'm like, oh my goodness, now I get it. I even called,
Mhm.
this was maybe like 6 years ago. And I called one of my best bosses and I said to him, thank you. And I apologize. And I said to him, it was 10 years after I left. But then now I finally understood so many things he did. And I was like, oh
Mm.
my goodness, you were patient with me. Thank you. So we always, and again, you know, when you're young, you feel you know everything, you think you know
Right.
what to do. But believe me,
Once
you
you
wisdom and that experience will teach you a lot. So I always say to people, calm down. There's no rush. It's the same life. Because many times when you even do it, there are many things that you know you want and you get it, and they're like, okay, you're high, you get the high for a few minutes or a few hours or days, and it's like, okay, what's next? It's why not live for the moment. You know, now when I'm also very intentional when I go out, I try not to take pictures. You know how you take photos, you're at a concert, is because we don't never really live. We're just trying to do many things, social media, and now that's why our attention span is so short, that it's important that we're intentional, that we're living the moment, we're taking it in. We
mm.
have to be able to experience it rather than just rushing through things. And that's why you have all these disorders and everyone's saying, we have to just calm down. There's no competition. I mean, it's really, and that's why we must go down. We need to go deeper. So I would keep saying it's about quality rather than quantity. So we need to
Yeah.
ensure that enriching our experiences, we're getting the exposure, we're learning the lessons we're meant to learn rather than rushing through. It's important that you're able to get a boss. You're going to work with different people. I hear people say, I don't like this kind of bosses. I can't work for this person. Why? How? I keep saying it. And we're going to live in a life. It's not about who we pick and choose. You can choose your husband. Doesn't mean you're going to, or wife. Doesn't mean you're going to choose their family and everyone else you're going to live with. And if you
Mm.
want to be a leader, which many of us want to be, you're going to have to deal with many people. You can't be a leader if you're not being a follower. So it's important to understand all this. There are different types of people. You're going to have to lead different types of people. So you need to be able to relate with different types of people. So all these are important. These are all the things we need to learn. So my advice to the younger generation is to take it easy. There's no rush. If you're competing with anyone, it's yourself. Take time out to even understand what your own needs are and question things. Okay, why is it that I want to do this? Is it because I've been told to by society? Is it because what my parents said? Is it what my friends are doing or my peers? What do I truly want to do? What really makes me happy? What is going to bring satisfaction? And if you notice it, the people get to like landmark ages, like 40 or 50, and then they look back at their life like, okay, I really haven't done much or haven't done something meaningful. Because after a certain point, you get your satisfaction from impact from other people by making other people happy.
Yeah.
You won't realize, I never knew it. I was reading a book the other day, and they said the part of the brain for empathy doesn't grow until your late 20s, 30s. So that's why a lot of people are selfish in what they do when they're younger. They grow. Their dependence and happiness comes from making other people happy. That's where the fulfillment comes from. So let's make the right decisions rather than just offhand because somebody's doing this or this is the latest trend or because of this challenge. And I always say to people, when you make a decision, look at the 10 years. Are you going to be proud of the decision you made?
Right.
You want, now that everything lives on social media, when you have kids, use this what you want your children to be seeing that you did. So these are all the things. And again, goes back to values. What are your values? That should be drive.
It's interesting that you mentioned consequence. A lot of people don't think about consequence. So they just carry out actions until they actually begin to experience the consequence of their actions. And it's interesting also because in the course of the conversation, you have also mentioned how people have been instrumental by way of mentorship. And that's another aspect that a lot of people don't pay attention to. So they define their situations based on how they feel and not what they can take away from the situation. Changing the narrative, changing the meaning of situations that you go through actually empowers you. It helps you to be above, to rise above that situation. Even where pandemic, I mean, take for example COVID. A lot of people came out of COVID much better people because they saw the world from a different, whole new perspective that they had never seen. Some took time to slow down. That's another thing you mentioned. Some people took time to pay attention to the things that matter, that really, really matter. Some people found out new ways of doing things. Some people even found out new experiences, had new experiences. And some people became at peace with themselves. All of the stress and the pressure, I mean, no one was going anywhere. So there's nobody to impress, so to speak. You were in the confines of your home. Even if you were in your boxers all day, nobody cares and nobody needs to know. So it really defined a lot for a lot of people. And my takeaway from that parts that you spoke is about being able to change the narrative and give new meanings to the outcomes that you want to see, because that's how you're going to attract them. And when you look at the situations around you as opportunities, because opportunities are always around us, but the question is, are we paying attention? And how have we defined the situations we found? Have we seen them as opportunities for us to grow, for us to expand, for us to have new learnings, for change, for dynamism? Then that's what it's going to be. But when you target as disruptive, as unbearable, and the like, then at the end of the day, you can't take away any empowering, life-changing experiences from those situations. So I want to address, Ife, the question of identity. A lot of young people are struggling with identity. They don't know how to discover their place of thriving, if I would use that word, or their place of influence. Where can I fit in the grand scheme of things? So what's your comment on that?
Okay, I think first of all, it goes back. So it's a problem that comes back to upbringing. And we again have to be intentional with parenting because if we raise children who understand and are okay with themselves, then they'll be fine. I think part of the issue we have with society is this whole orientation. Who has been bringing people up? Where are they learning? Who's telling them what beauty is? I watched something the other day about the beauty standard, and some lady was talking about she's a bigger lady and she's married to what society has defined a hunk. And people are like, huh, is this her husband? And so she did this whole video about societal standards of what beauty is. Now,
Yes.
many of us have to be intentional about what we feed the youth, the children, to say, well, who comes up with these standards? Who says so? So if we leave them up to the society defines it, and that's what they're now going. Then we're wondering why someone is feeling the same thing with skin color. The dark person feels they need to bleach to feel beautiful. So it's going back to that and understanding what are the influences? What is influencing this generation and even all of us? How were we influenced? Who told us what was fine, what was good, what was bad? Where are the gray lines now? Because now even certain things people will argue about, oh, this is okay in certain situations. Absolutely not in my own view. So it's understanding those influences and saying, how do we ensure that they have the right set of role models and people who are influencing them? It's important that, and again, I say the whole society, I remember many times they'll say, oh, don't go on social media, everything is bad. I don't agree with that. It's the same thing with, it's neither good or bad. It's how it's used. So it's ensuring that we are deliberate about getting the right influencers to be able for them to see, to say, okay, this person did it this way without moving their clothes or doing XYZ or without getting rich scheme. So it's having the right set of role models and ensuring that for a younger generation is that we bring them up right to know that, okay, because I don't like certain things that my friend likes this, I'm okay. We can still even coexist. And me being me is it's fine if somebody else is that. I'll give an example. I have two daughters. One is fair and one is dark.
Okay.
Now, I remember this, they were quite young, and my older one, who was dark, said to me, oh, she wishes she was my color. And I said, absolutely not. And I had to go into, and so I said to her, does God make mistakes? She said, no. I said, did God make a mistake when he created you? She said, no. So God created you this way. So I now deliberately gave her, I call her my chocolate fudge, and my other is chocolate caramel. And I need to be comfortable in her skin color because obviously somewhere along the line someone has already told her, and people do say that, oh, you're black, fair. I'm like, so now I don't even tell people. At first I used to say people to stop saying that. Then I realized I'm not going to go around everywhere with her. So she has to be okay with
I
people
know.
saying, and she's fine. And I'm like, you know what? I'm fine as I am. So I had to show her different things and give her like affirmations. So these are little things and they're different subtle influences. So now you can't tell my daughter anything for the world. She feels she's the finest thing, but that's fine. And so it's important that, like I said, that you when all these things occur, you're able to nip it in the bud and to say, okay, who said that? Who has given you that, and ensure that you're given the right set of influence. Again, what I try to do, especially like with IWS, is I have this set of girls, young girls, and I'm like, they don't really seem to have the right role models or mentors. How can I bring the right set of people that they can see who are successful, who are doing things the right way, and get them to see there's a different way of doing it. So I think for society is for parents to be more deliberate, and whether it's institutions, whether it's schools, clubs, all that, we need to be intentional to ensure that we're setting the right examples and showing them the right examples. There's the way you can do it that will be that, yes, it might be difficult. You won't get there in one day, but it's the
Right.
way that will give you lasting success.
Absolutely, because it's a process. And I love that you're using a word that I love so much, being intentional. Intentionality is all there is. If you don't put in everything, it's I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, life cannot be complete. It would not be the total package if you are not able to invest everything into whatever it is that you put your hands to do. And need to know, it also tells about excellence. We have gotten in the parts of Africa, especially Nigeria, we've gotten used to mediocrity. We've gotten used to people just doing things without excellence, and that is because people don't know better. If they have people who can rise up to show them a different picture, that this is a better way to experience things, then people will gravitate towards something that is always better. So until they have that experience, they will only always settle for what they know is the next best thing until they see it or have a better experience. So I love that that angle that you brought in. Now I have people who feel that they're hearing all of these things, and they seemingly in their mind, again, because as you think, that's who you are going to be, right? So they seemingly have come to believe that they have run out of time. So what more can they achieve? I mean, they have wasted their years, the years that they had energy to create the extraordinary, and they're seemingly in their retirement mode or season of life. What encouragement can you give someone who is desiring to begin to be intentional, to be extraordinary, but has wasted time?
Okay, I think the first thing we need to even correct is that time has been wasted. No time has been wasted. Yes, they made a mistake, but there's still a lot of learning and experience from the time they've had. The most important thing is they've gotten to a point where they realize they need to be more intentional. And how can they use their years of experience to be more intentional?
Right.
That's important. And again,
that's a
goes
beautiful
back,
giving it right.
yeah. Going back to that whole thing on society, who says I read somewhere, again, Vera Wang didn't even become a designer, do her first design until she was over 40. I remember reading about KFC and the founder of KFC, I think he was 68 or 70 when he started. So who again defines this whole time? And why are we in a rush? I think, again, the thing is we've done many things over the years which we've learned from, and that whole time is not wasted. It's a matter of now we've even gained so much. We know what we're not going to do. We've lived the other life or whatever it is, and we're able to do it. Again, I always say this. If you're ready, you have a picture in your mind. You've always had a picture of what the life you want to live is. And I say it's more than the picture. So I always say to people, and this is what I always do, I like to do 10 years. So I was 40 last year. So now my plan is 10 years when I'm 59 years. And how I start is I visualize how I want to wake up, how I want to feel. Because when you have that picture, it's all about getting there. But then you have to remember, how do you want to feel? You can have a lot of riches and still. So what is that feeling? I know I want to wake up. I can imagine the type of bed sheets and all that, how the room looks, how the room smells, how I feel the whole day. And then that's my picture. And then it's what am I doing from where I am to get to that vision? So what is it that you've always dreamt you wanted to do? What is stopping you from living that life you want to do? Majority of the time, it is us. We are the ones stopping ourselves, no one else. Many times, I don't believe in that whole thing, my village or somebody's doing crap. We are the only ones. If we know the power we have, we're the one that's giving someone else the power to be able to do it. If we know the authority we have over our own selves, we wouldn't subscribe to many of these things. So it's to say, this is the vision I have. I want to be intentional. Again, in creating our visions, is to look, it's good to be realistic to say, okay, these are the pitfalls. Like you mentioned, yes, I'm older, or the person is older and they might not have as much energy. So what might have taken them a number of days or weeks, all they have to do is now be more realistic and say, okay, I can't do it in a day or in a week. It's going to take me longer, and just build that into a plan. What are my pitfalls? What are the things that can stop this plan from happening or coming to fruition? What are the things I'm going to do to ensure that I can mitigate those risks? and ensure that even if they do happen, they don't derail my plan. Again, life happens. So we have to be ready to be flexible, but it's important you have some plan and every day working to achieve it. Another thing that I think happens is sometimes the plan, the vision overwhelms us. So
Right.
oh, it's too much. You know how you're saying about extraordinary, it's too much work. Then we break it down. We're not trying to do everything. A 10-year plan can be done in a day or in a year. So it's to break it down. Say, okay, this is, like I said, mine is 10 years. After I break it, do the big vision of 10 years. Okay, what do I have to do every single year to be able to achieve that? Okay, when I now get to the year, how do I break it down to months? How do I break it down to days? Now, going back to that whole discipline, what are the things I need to do every day? I'll use a normal example. Let's say I want to get a PhD in something, whatever it is. I can't just wake up one day and say I'm going to get a PhD. I have to have done a master's first. What is the master's I'm going to do? How long is it going to take? How much is it going to cost? Do I need? What are the prerequisites I need to be able to even get into the course? What are the things I need to do for the PhD? So it's to break it down. Okay, let's start one step at a time. Okay, I don't have the money. How much is it going to cost? How am I saving money to ensure that I'm able to afford it in a year or two? Okay, if I can't even get the money, are there scholarships out there? Are there different ways I can get financing? So these are all the things. Most times we just see it as overwhelming as too much money. Okay, it's too much money, but there are other ways. So it's to be able, and again, it's that whole, let's not be lazy and look for an excuse. If we truly we're going to find a way to be able to do it and then work towards it. Okay, if the scholarship doesn't work, how do I get funding? How do I get financing? How do I get someone to pay for it? How do I get my office or whoever? So they're just different ways of going about it, but it's just about being realistic. What are the different opportunities and ensuring that we have a proper time frame to be able to complete it in. So that's what I was.
Awesome. Amazing stuff right there, Ife. You have nailed it. So you've successfully demystified being extraordinary. And I still go back to what you said earlier, putting your best every day, the best of who you are, being the best of who you are in a conversation, in an interview, in your business, in an interaction of some sort, in a business deal, in your sales, in your marketing, in just in anything, even in a simple as a conversation, put in your very best. Always make, in fact, make being the very best consistent in your life. That's what you're saying. Because for you to have a 10-year plan, that means you have become and you are able to attain it. That means you became masterful in the art of doing something consistently for 10 years. And that's super level of discipline right there and character.
I want to give you an example. Sorry, I want to give you one because I just saw a friend of mine who joined now, and we're on this challenge together, and it has been difficult. Our challenge is we need to drink a gallon of water a day. Now, it's supposed to be over 75 days. I haven't been able to get to that, but then it's build up. So, we keep trying it. And then she sent me a message today. She now says she's been able to get there. I'm like, fantastic. I'm trying. That's water is 4.5 liters of water a day. Normally, I feel good when I get to 3 liters. So it's like, how do I build up? So it's consistent to say, okay, even if I do it on the last day, 75 days, every day, I'm going to make sure I keep upping my, and what are the things that can help me? I got a partner we're going to motivate each other. And then she said to me, you know what? I got a half gallon of water bottle. And so now she just has to fill it up twice. I'm like, okay, maybe if I get that, then I'll track it better. So it's just like in everything we can do it. It's just a matter of, like you said, consistency, keep trying at it. If we're not going to do, another thing is I know for myself is sometimes I'd always try to do it in one day, I won't be patient. And I'm like, I'm trying and get it. And for this kind of challenge, if I'd done it the first day, it didn't work, I'll like give up. But to say, okay, you know what, it's not a sprint, it's 75 days. Even if it's just one day I get there, at least I'm building up every day. I'm doing what I need to do until I get there. Yeah.
Fantastic. That's a beautiful one. So thank you, friend. Okay. Osho Said.
Oh, no, sorry. 75 gallons of water. 1 gallon of water for 75 days.
May want to reevaluate that based on our food intake. Thank you so much.
It's a gallon of water a day.
A gallon. That's 75. That means are you an elephant? let you off the hook. It's been an amazing conversation, Ifeoma. You're the 65th president of the International Women's Society. Did you see that coming?
No, and it was never part of the ambition. I joined IWS 20 years ago. I joined when I moved back to Nigeria. Yes.
20 years ago?
Yes. I joined when
God.
to Nigeria. I moved back to Nigeria in 2002, June of 2002. And my mom was actually a member. She was on the exco. So I used to see her go every month, and she had a particular bag for it. So I wanted to find out more. And when I found out it was about giving back to the less privileged and all the different projects, I decided to get involved. So I became a member. But I'll be honest, I really wasn't, I wasn't day one, yes. And so a relative of mine became president, so I joined the exco. I understood it better, and I just thought I was going to do that, just keep giving back. For me, I like to be in the background. I just like to make things work, and that's what I'm about. It's not about who's in front. That's how I see it personally. It's like, let's just make it work. Let's have impact. And a few years ago, Mrs. Ego Boyo was president, and I worked with her on Exco, and I saw I saw the good work she was doing, and I was like, you know what? And there was a challenge, and there were certain challenging times, and I just felt, someone now said to me, why don't you do this? And the first thing I said, God forbid, no, I can never do this. This is what I'm trying to do. I just want to do the work. But after a while, I was like, you know what? I want to do this, and I want to show we can do this without without all the fuss, and we can have impact, and everyone can work together. So it was maybe like in the last year or two. What happens in IWS is the vice president automatically becomes the president. So at that point, when I was asked to do it, I was like, okay, I had said no for so long, and I said, you know what? If in terms of doing the work, I know I can do it. This is what I want to give back impact. Again, for me, I'd also said at one point I was going to stop saying no, and I'll start saying yes and owning it, being able to own it. And so I just said, you know what, I will own it. Yes, it comes with a lot, and I pray that I'll be able to do it and show the impact IWS has. IWS has been doing this for 65 years. We've had the most amazing women who have been committed and dedicated and have spent their own resources. And so I just wanted to be able to leverage on that work and take it to greater heights. And that's what I've been trying to do.
Fantastic. You are doing amazing, amazing work out there. And you also have a foundation that takes care of older people. Yes. How did that come?
Okay, so my husband and I started a foundation called the AG Care, Abundant Grace Care Foundation. And it was really about giving back. You know, in society, it was a matter of, I'm tired of complaining. How can we do our own bit? And for us, healthcare has always been important to us. So when in our company, we do a lot of healthcare related projects. And one area, so it's, you know, you have a lot of older people. And yes, people say our society hasn't changed, but a lot of younger people are leaving, whether they're leaving the country or they're leaving the villages to cities. But I prefer to stay home. And what happens is normally you're sending money to some relative to look after your parents or your grandparents, and you have no clue what they're doing. And so we're now like, okay, this whole idea of elderly care. Again, I'm a consultant. I see the trends changing. I see people moving out. So we're like, okay, you know what? In time, people are going to need this elderly care facility, because a lot of people, and again with COVID, it showed that a lot of older people were by themselves. And within the whole lockdown and COVID period, a lot of family members were worried about their parents. So we're like, okay, you know what? We'll do a test run. We'll see. We have a lot of people who live abroad and are tired of sending money, and they don't know what the money is being spent on. Let's do our research. Let's see if this will work. And it's been tremendous. One of the things we found, so we have an elderly care home in Delta State. Now, what was funny was we did all these single rooms, saying that the different residents would stay on their own.
Like they do it abroad.
Yes.
It did work.
They were all in each other's room. They were like, no big bed for me by myself. I have company. So they were so excited. And they were like, no, we're sharing rooms, we're together, we're not staying. So it was so funny. So now we're like, okay, since you want to share rooms, you will go that way. And it's been so amazing. And the families of our residents, I remember there was a lady, the first day she dropped her dad, she cried. She cried, she called the next day. Reason why? In over a year, her dad hadn't spoken. The day he was brought to the home, he told all the residents about his life. So she wasn't sure.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Now, this same gentleman, funny enough, just had his birthday 3 days ago. About a month or two ago, we were all excited and we were celebrating. Why? He hadn't been able to sit up for a few years. Now he can sit up unaided.
But all of that interaction
helped. Know that the people taking care of them, the people they can talk to, they have people around. So that's really why we did it, and it's really been doing well. And we have a lot of residents, and people are just more people coming in because they have other people. Because most times they're home alone. There's some young help who's helping them. They can't really speak to. But when they see their peers, they're able to talk about things in their childhood. They watch TV together. They pray. They do all that together. So they have a community. So that's what we do.
Well done, Ifeoma. Thank you so much for your time. I don't know about you all, but I have had an amazing conversation with yet another extraordinary guest, Ifeoma Monye. Thank you so much. She's the 65th president of the International Women's Society, and she has given us perspective to the concept of being extraordinary. Thank you so much, Ifeoma, for being with us today, and for all of the power that you brought to this conversation. So we'll be seeing you all next week. Hopefully the next one, if we have it next week or not. But whatever it is, we will see you soon. The next episode of The B Theory. Thank you all for joining. I saw those who came in late. I'm going to post this video so that you can have your ultimate experience on the B Theory with Ifeoma Monye. It's thank you again to each and every one of us and to our beautiful guest, Ifeoma Monye. Thank you so much. All right. Have a wonderful, wonderful Friday morning, afternoon, whatever it is on your own side of the world. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye. Thank you, Ifeoma. Bye, everyone.